Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo on a Friday night. Just wanted to talk quickly. The Warriors beat the Boston Celtics in Boston, the fourth game of this 5-game road trip, 111 to 107. So right now, so far, they're 3-1, and the hope for any road trip is to come out above 500. So 3-2 is good. And word has come out that Steve Kerr is going to sit Steph, Draymond, Andre Iguodala, Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole is already out due to COVID protocols. So the Warriors are going to be very shorthanded against a surging, I guess surging is an appropriate word, Toronto Raptors team in Toronto. And that's fine. That's fine. Like, those guys need rest, and this is the perfect time to do it. You're playing with house money. It's been an exhausting week for Steph in particular because of all the three-point record stuff and just grinding away at it for the past week and a half. So sit those dudes, send them home. I don't know what they're doing, but whatever. And plus, it'll give all of us eager Warriors fans a chance to see as much of Jonathan Kuminga and to a lesser extent Moses Moody, see them as much as possible, hopefully against the Raptors. I'm curious to see how Kuminga plays against Scotty Barnes, against Pascal Siakam. I'm sure he will guard and be guarded by both those dudes. So it'll be a good measuring stick. Hopefully they have a good showing and it's not like a blowout or anything, but either way, we're looking at the season as a whole, and you want to keep your core veterans healthy. I was texting with Aram in Toronto, and he was saying that this would be a perfect game for Jordan Poole and James Wiseman if they were both available, but unfortunately they're not. So we'll see. They have Bielitsa out there as their 33-year-old vet. Maybe he'll light it up. Or maybe Chris Chiozza. Aaron predicted Chris Chiozza is going to jack up a bunch of shots because he's so confident. Maybe he will be the leading scorer. Who knows? But a couple thoughts on this Celtics game. The Warriors were a little flat in the second half, but whatever, I'll take it. And the one thing I do want to talk about is Andrew Wiggins. That guy is still playing lights out. He went off in the first half, and his shot was just going down. And I mean, I'm still really impressed. He was 11 for 20 overall, 5 for 7 from 3, plus 13, 27 points. But I think he had 24 in the first half. But regardless, it's funny to me, right? Because yes, he's playing better in this Warriors system on this Warriors team where he doesn't have to be the first or second option. But for casuals and outside random fans or national media who just started paying attention again to the Warriors, for them to think that Andrew Wiggins would just be a throw-in for salary at this point in a trade for some random pseudo all-star or something is just kind of hilarious. They're not looking at how integral he is to this Warriors team and what he does. They don't see him pick up full court. They don't see him battling for boards. They don't see him being consistent with his shot. They don't see him being a guy with prolific scoring ability and athletic ability, being content as the third or fourth banana on the court at any given time. So again, Wiggins has been playing really well since that Minnesota Timberwolves game when he just went full vengeance and went off. So for those of you who want to just get rid of him in exchange for, I don't know who's out there at this point who's being talked about for Bradley Beal still or Ben Simmons, I don't even know what the trade mumbo jumbo is at this point, but I'm sorry to tell you that's not going to happen. They'll only trade for somebody if they are upper echelon all-stars. Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game, but with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point's scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And also, I want to talk about the whole COVID protocol thing. We all know that this Omicron variant is going around, and it's crazy because it just seems like a bunch of NBA players are having to go into protocols all of a sudden. And it's going to be interesting, right? Like, we know that in the wintertime, it gets worse, regardless of whether or not there's a new variant. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects things. This is another good reason for the Warriors to have stacked so many wins and to build up such a solid record so early in the season, because you just don't know what's going to happen. This was the case for the bubble season. This was the case last season. You just don't know. And now that Jordan Poole's out, there were a bunch of players out for the Celtics. Anthony Edwards was out for the Timberwolves, and they beat the Lakers because, well, the Lakers suck, but also the Lakers had a bunch of other players out. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects the standings over the rest of the season, but specifically over the next couple of months. And interestingly enough, it's pretty clear that a lot of NBA players got the Johnson & Johnson vax, not the Pfizer or the Moderna vaxes. Those are, of course, 2 shots, whereas the J&J is 1 shot. But right now, it's being mentioned that it's not really that great in general, and it's not really as strong in terms of protecting you against this new variant that's very contagious. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work, especially if a lot of these guys don't get boosters. Draymond said he got his booster shot, but there's other dudes out there who are probably a little bit more reluctant. Aforementioned Andrew Wiggins is one of them, but who knows? I'm not going to speculate or try to figure out what he's thinking or whatever, but just across the NBA, not just on the Warriors. First of all, a lot of them have the J&J vax, and then second of all, how quickly will some of these guys rush out to go get a booster shot, which will protect them even more. If they're hesitant, then you might start seeing even more people out, and that could be devastating to certain teams, if you know what I mean. Especially if somebody catches a case and it turns out to be a relatively bad one. And Jaylen Brown, I'm guessing he's a little bit better, but for a while he was having to use an inhaler, and Joel Embiid came back, but he was kind of out of it. And obviously Karl-Anthony Towns last season had a lot of issues. So just something to keep an eye on. Health in the larger world picture is way more important than just the NBA, but in the scope of this podcast, in the scope of what we're looking at right now, with the Warriors being 24-5, they're missing Jordan Poole, right? Luckily, this is a very deep team, as we've talked about here, and we all know at this point. And then, of course, we get Klay Thompson back, looks like in January now instead of December, which is totally fine by me. Sit out as long as you need, man. And then we get James Wiseman back eventually. But that depth can easily disappear if a couple guys have to sit out for a while or catch COVID or something. Anyway, just part of the reality of the world that we live in, and kind of something that we've been lucky to not have to think about too much so far this season, but it's coming up again. And at this rate, it will probably affect at least a few teams from here on out, especially during the cold winter months. So anyway, the Warriors, they get the quick turnaround, like I said, in Toronto against the Raptors. I don't know, some people might not watch that one because all the stars are sitting out. But, if you're like me, you want to see Kuminga get as many minutes as possible. That's it. That's why you want to watch. You want to see if Moses Moody can contribute too. So I'll be tuning into that one, followed by a podcast episode with Aram in Toronto. So we'll catch you then. All right. This has been another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Patrick Epino, E-P-I-N-O, or at Oakland Warriors. Check us out, oaklandwarriors.com. And be sure to tell your fellow Warrior fan friends to tune in and listen to the Oakland Warriors podcast. It's produced by National Film Society and is a part of the Basketball Podcast Network. That's it. Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.